In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this simple Queen Anne neckline blouse. To start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, and my blouse length. So for my blouse length, I used extra 5 inches after my waistline. Next, I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Come down by 1 inch. After that, I'm going to go ahead to mark my neckline of 3.5 inches for this pattern, and I will place my ruler connecting from my shoulder down to that 3.5 inches that I marked, and I'll connect my shoulder slope. Next is to find your chest line. My chest line, to get that, is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Your chest line is also your armhole line. So mine is 7 inches, and I'll place my ruler to draw out a straight line there. But I'll measure what I have there and then replace it on this side of my pattern so that I'll have a straight line and I'll connect it. Now, I'll mark back what I have on my shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2 plus half inch, because this pattern has a sleeve. Now, I'll connect this all the way up and I'll place my tape, divide what I have here into 2 and come out by half inch. I'll go down and mark my bust circumference divided by 4. After this, I'll connect this all the way up, and from here, I'm going to connect it to the lower part of my pattern. Next step is to mark your dart. I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches. Divided by 2, I have 3.5 inches. And I'll mark this all the way down to the lower part of my pattern. And after I'm done connecting this line, I'll take my dart intake. So I'll be marking 1 inch for both sides of my dart. Now, if you're first time, go ahead to use 1.5 inches on both sides. Or if you're deep busting, go ahead to use 1.5 inches on both sides. Now I'll place my tape, connect from the bust to the under bust, and I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern. After I'm done doing this, I'm going to mark where I want my pattern to stop, that is the top area. So I'm using 1.5 inches above my chest line. For a busty person, you can use 2 inches or 2.5 inches above your chest line. Now go ahead to take your measurements from your shoulder. I'll go back and mark my opportunity divided by 2, and I'll place my ruler. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to mark my dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. Now, for a plus size, you can use 1.5 inches on both sides, and I'll go ahead to connect this starting from the lower part of my pattern all the way to the dart that I have to go at the chest line or at the over bust area of my pattern. Now I'll go in with my marker and continue. The next step is to insert your measurement. I'll mark my bust divided by 4, which is 33 inches divided by 4. I have 8.3. Now I'll measure the dart intake I have there and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. My under bust is 28 inches divided by 4. I have 7 inches. So my under bust and my waist measurement is the same. So I'll be repeating the same process of marking my measurement divided by 4, replacing the dart, and add your sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and I will add my sewing allowance. So for this pattern, you can use any sewing allowance of your choice. And after connecting from the bust to the under bust and from the waist to the blouse length. So when I was connecting to the bust point, I was supposed to connect it to the other side, but I ended up connecting it here. But I'll go ahead to reconnect it when I'm done drafting out my pattern. So first, I'll just go ahead to outline this. So after I'm done doing this, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark my dart. So to mark your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So if you take out 15.5 from 17 inches, you have 1.5. You have 1.5 inches, which I used for my bust dart. Now I'll go ahead out. So after I'm done marking this, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to come in by half inch here, and I will go ahead to connect this all the way to the upper part of my pattern this way. So this is what I have, and I'll go in a bit for the neckline of my pattern, and I'll go ahead to blend out this area and connect it back to the sleeve area. Now I'll outline this, and to tighten my yoke I'll go up by 0.3 inches and I'll shed this out. So you can leave your pattern this way, or for some individuals, they like replacing the dart they have on the overbust area towards the armhole. You're still going to achieve the same results if you use both the first pattern or this second pattern, where you're going to extend what you have, the dart you have, and replace it at the armhole area. So now this is when I realized that I didn't add my sewing allowance. So what I'm going to do is just to go ahead to reconnect it back. So for the sewing allowance, go ahead to use any sewing allowance of your choice for this pattern, because we are using a zipper and we are not snatching this pattern. So this is what I have here if you're actually replacing the dart you have. So when I'm cutting it out, I'll cut both types of pattern. Like I'll cut the parts where I replace the dart and the parts where I remove the dart at the overbust area of my pattern. So after this, I'll just blend in this part, and I'm trying to draw out the little asymmetric hemline we have on this part of the pattern. So there's nothing much there, it's just to go up a bit and then trace out. So make sure you blend in your dart when you're cutting this out, and I'll go ahead to cut out the rest of this pattern. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So this is my pattern after I'm done cutting it. I'll go in with the second pattern where I traced out the armhole area. So this is what I have. Moving over to the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements that I need, including my shoulder to bust, my shoulder to waistline, which is 15.5, and for the blouse length also I added extra 5 inches to get my blouse length. So now I'm just going to go ahead to start marking out my measurement. So if you notice, I have a zipper in front. For this pattern, I'm making use of a zipper. So the next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark my dart, which I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I went ahead to mark out a straight line at that part. Now I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides of my waistline, and I'll also extend that all the way up, and also extend this to the lower part of my pattern. So after I'm done marking this, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to insert my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4 mark, then measure the dart intake replace and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, then I'll add my sewing allowance. Now I'll place my ruler, and I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way up, and from that part I'll connect to the lower part of my pattern. So this is what I have, and at this point I'll just go ahead to give it a simple asymmetric hemline. Something that is a bit simple because I didn't get to see the back of the dress. So I'll just go ahead and outline this, and the next step I'll take is to take out the zipper bulge for this dress. This is to make sure that the back of the dress relaxes very well. Now I'll go in by ½ inch, extend this all the way up, and I'll take this all the way down to the lower part of my pattern. Now after I'm done marking this, the next step I'm going to take right now is to go ahead to draw out the neckline. So I'll mark 3.5 inches from the zipper, and I'm going to extend this all the way down to the chest line of my pattern. Now I'm going to go ahead to come down by 0.3 inches at the yoke. This is to help tighten the yoke of the back dress. Now I'll blend it into the initial yoke of this pattern and mark out a straight line. So after I'm done doing this, the next step I'm going to take is just to go ahead to cut out my pattern first before going ahead to alter the rest of this pattern. So at this point, if you find this video very interesting and educative, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment also at the comment section. And after I'm done cutting this, I'll go ahead to slash open my dart. So with this, we have come to the end of today's tutorial.